just categories directly. I wasn't putting the relationship between a product and a category in the cat relationships. So again, that was something I was working towards, just didn't get that far. Um, our J comparisons, this one we have, and actually let's go to our um, merchants first. So we have our merchants and we have our merchant ID, we have the name, we have the image, the phone, and the contact person. So all that information is stored about each merchant. And then in the comparisons table, what we have is we have, of course, the ID of this particular record, but then we have the product ID, which is the ID of the particular product, and the merchant ID that we're talking about, and then we have the price. So basically what we're creating is a cross-reference. So for product, let's see, 26 and merchant ID 8, it's 24, and 26 and merchant ID 9, it's 19.99. And that is, if we go to product 2, that's essentially how we create this, okay? Putting it in a relationships table makes it so that you could just reference by ID here, and you don't have to have information about each product and each merchant in here. You can just reference it by ID, and that's important when you're building your database to have these relationships tables in here. All right, for locations, then I have the ID, and it's kind of a cross-reference again. So this is would ultimately be the location ID. And then we have the merchant ID. So this is whatever merchant we're talking about, and we have their address information, address to, city, state, and zip. So it has all the information about each one. And then, of course, finally our user's password here. Again, in the login system tutorial, I cover that in depth about exactly how you do all that hashing. Okay, so the big thing I want you to get from looking at this database is that you're typically going to have some sort of core content, which is your data, and that in this case, that's our products. And then you're going to have several different types of metadata. So categories is a metadata. The comparisons are really a metadata between two pieces of core data, which are your products and your merchants, and then you have metadata, the comparisons that allow you to compare and set a price, product and merchant. Okay, so when you're sitting down to create this kind of stuff, you got to get creative and think about how you would do it in a way where you can split things out. Okay, ultimately you want to have smaller chunks of things, smaller chunks of tables, smaller chunks of code, smaller files, because it becomes a lot easier for you to then, when you go back into it, instead of having to go to one big huge file. And believe me, I've written WordPress plugins that were one big huge long file. When I had to go back and update stuff, it's